Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel True Politics Facts. So today we are going to talk about such an incident in the history that you might be never heard about it. So let's it start. There is a saying in the world's most wonderful saying that knowledge does not ask for food, but knowledge gives food. Therefore, going to learn something new can be painful for a moment but not in vain. To understand this, we have to take the example of two birds. If we want to save our own existence, then watch this episode completely. There used to be a bird named Dodo, which was defeated by its enemy and kept in the museum today. And the other bird is the emu, which has despite being unarmed, not only collided with a huge mighty army of the world, rather in the end, that army had to run away with shame after losing a bird. If we talk about dodo bird, which used to be found in islands like Mauritius and Madagascar of Indian Ocean, where there was no human population before, nor there was any animal to hunting them in this island. That's why this bird had forgotten their defensiveness and aggressiveness generation by generation. They used to get plenty of food in these islands, that's why they used to live there comfortably. They did not had got to run fast or fly. Due to this, gradually their legs bone became weak. In the beginning of 16th century, Dutch people reached Mauritius. They were surprised to see that humans used to catch birds comfortably. Then these Dutch people started hunting them. Because the Dutch had taken rats, dogs and many more animals with them, so gradually dogs also started hunting dodo. And the rats started eating their eggs. Dodo were no longer defensive at all. Because in the environment in which they were brought up from generation to generation, they did not need to be aggressive. But when they needed to be aggressive, until then they had forgotten how to attack or how to run fast. As a result, the dodo became completely extinct from the earth. Two mummies of this bird have been made and kept in the Royal Museum of Britain and the University of Mauritius. Another such a bird is the emu, which has learned to fight for saving their own existence, and not only learned to fight, rather on one hand there were modern weapons, guns, tanks, and on the other side there was an unarmed bird emu who crushed a mighty army of the world. This war is counted among the most shameful war in human history. Actually, it is the year 1923. There was a drought in Australia, due to which Australia was a victim of a severe recession. Its currency had collapsed. So after the First World War, it had given lands for rehabilitation to the brave retired soldiers. This land was given in Western Australia. The land of here is very fertile. It was a very peaceful place for soldiers who had faced war all their lives. But in the area where the land was, there lived a bird named emu, who has been lived there since centuries. The height of this bird is 2 meters and the weight is usually 50 to 60 kg. Due to its weight, it is also unable to fly like the ostrich, but it is very agile and can run as fast as a lion. They live in a large flocks. It is also a faithful bird. Their nature is very soft and tolerant. And the most interesting thing about there is that a male and female never change their life partner. That is the only honest bird or a creature in the world in their relationship. The biggest feature of this bird is that it is very fearless and does not run away in fear from enemy faces him. Now the people who became farmers from the soldiers had came to his area and started farming. As soon as the crop was waved, as if it has came fun in emu's life. They used to eat crops being grown by the farmers. Their numbers were such huge that in a single day hundreds of acres of crops were destroyed, ate some, trampled some, as if they did not like the farmer in their area at all. Initially, the farmers adopted common method to stop the emus, such as fenced around the fields, fenced it with barbed wire, try to run away the emos by playing drums, but the fearless emo was neither afraid of the sound of the drums nor the fencing arranged by the farmers could stop them. They used to break fencing as high as their huge and mighty body. Now, farmers used to shout in the air and make noise, but they did not care about it. Finally fed up, the delegation of farmers met the Australian government and begged for help. Because all the farmers were ex-soldiers, the land was also given to them by the government, so the government listened to them seriously. And in a meeting of top officials, the Defence Minister of Australia ordered the forces to fight emos. Because the number of emos in this area was more than 20,000, large units of the army were dispatched with guns. This date was November 2. The year was 1932. On that day, the Australian army attacked on the emos because on one side there were modern weapons as we mentioned earlier, on the other side were unarmed emos. So the result was also in front of everyone that the army would win the war in a day or two. The second thing was a joke to the soldiers. They hoped that by evening they would have dinner by their mates by tear down the emos. But it didn't as easy as the soldiers thought it was. Initially, the soldiers targeted a large herd. There were about 2,000 emos in this herd. Seeing so many soldiers moving forward as if emu had sensed the situation, suddenly the emu started disconnected from the herd. All the emos got separated and spread over a large area. Major Meridian connected a machine gun in the back of the truck in combat conditions and put army truck on their side to chase them. The aiming was not accurate due to pothole on the roads. Some truck overturned in the pit and some were stuck away. The war went on all day. Many soldiers were injured. After firing thousands of bullets till late night, the army was able to kill only 6 emos. The soldiers returned to the camps exhausted and their dreams of night celebration had been destroyed. As the soldiers went to the camps, Chemo came to the field and started destroying the crops. As if today they were avenging the sacrifice of their 6 companions. Broke all the fence. The next day again the same story. As the sun rised, the soldiers attacked with machine gun and the emu started disconnected from the herd and defended themselves. This execution went on for 6 days. Emus defended themselves to the technique of guerrilla war and soldiers lost them every time. Chasing with a motorcycle and a jeep, by doing this, the army was able to shoot about 10,000 bullets and kill only 50 emos from the herd of thousands of emos. While the emos had taken revenge and destroyed the crops from the entire land, the army and the farmer had nothing left to save. Call it human or Australian army was criticized in the big newspaper of the world. Demonstration began in many countries in favor of emos. Even Prime Minister Pearce was questioned in the Australian Parliament, questioning this strategy, that this was the only way to solve this problem. Apart from this, a member of parliament also asked that too in a sarcastic tone that the Prime Minister did keep the award for this war, making fun of the Australian government. On the other hand, the army had also expressed its helplessness by admitting its defeat in front of the government. The armed force of Australia had kneeled in front of the unarmed army of emos. After humiliating himself in front of the world, the army was called back on 8th November 1932. After the departure of the army, the farmer also understood that it was not easy to cultivate or occupy the territory of emo. They handed over their territory to emo and returned to their old homes. But after 2 years, the farmers again requested to the government. Then the Parliament of Australia was again jokingly questioned, will there be a second world war against emo? The government declined the request. Australian government learned its lesson and will never engage in fight again against emo, and it was called a Great Emo War. Emo not only won the war but made sure with his victory that now no country in the world will fight a war against Emo. This event is known in the history of Australia as the Emo War or the Great Emo War. The in charge of this operation, Major Muddy, had said that if he had a division like an emo bird and if they could fire, he could face any army in the world and could take over the world. So finally, the story of both the bird tell that the one who fights for his existence will be sure of victory. It's depend on all of us that we want to be Dodo of Mauritius and stay in the museum or save your existence by fighting like emus. It's enough to understand that Emo gave a message to the world that victory comes with unity, no matter who you are.